So the iconic Blender YouTuber Daniel Krafft has recently made Mr. Beast a 50 million subscriber play button, flew it out, sent it to him, and gave him a hug, I suppose. But his channel has recently skyrocketed and hit 500,000 subscribers, which is an insane achievement. Congratulations, by the way. But I decided to take it upon myself to make him a little reward. A 500,000 subscriber play button. It's a lamp. But I designed it in Blender. The design is nowhere near physically accurate, but this is how I made it. So, the first thing I had to do was go to his channel and look at him. Then I just looked up a 50 million subscriber play button to kind of see an idea, but all I really got was the PewDiePie one and the Coco Melon one, and those aren't very good. So I just went into Blender and I started messing with this cube. I scaled it down and I beveled it. I tried to make like a D shape because like his like logo is like a D and his name is like Daniel Krafft. So I just took this face and beveled it to try to make sort of like a D shape for the kind of base, the platform. I then went back to his channel to try to get some more ideas of like what I could make with this 500,000 subscriber award. I decided that he likes the colors purple and blue, which I do too. Those are probably some of my favorite colors. So I started using a Bezier curve and making this weird shape inspired by him using curves, making weird shapes on Mr. Beast's play button. But I basically just messed around with this, just did something with it. I didn't really know what I was doing at this point. I just kind of did whatever I could. And hoped it looked good, but I made this shape and decided that I would duplicate it and make it as like a stand for like a logo, which I decided to make a D. So I finally decided to just add some text and then convert it to a curve. But then I realized that I had to actually edit the text before I turned it into said curve because I'm an idiot. So I re-added the text when I found it. Just slap that bad boy in there, type D, and then I converted to a curve. So I went through and looked through my fonts for a little bit. Realized that there was no font in the world in my library that I would like to use for this. So I just continued scrolling, trying to find in my hopelessness a font that would be good for this D that would sit on top of this stand for Daniel Krafft. I couldn't find one. So I eventually just settled with the regular one. That's pretty much what I did. I just settled with the regular one, the default Blender font. I don't really know what it's called. Then I finally converted it to a mesh, and just like rotated it a little bit, and I put it up there. Just slapped it up there right on the stand. Then I realized I wanted something that I don't want just a D. I don't want a plain D. So, with my newfound curve power, I started messing with the curves on this D. I started rotating some stuff a little bit. Actually, I rotated that a little bit. But once I found out what I actually wanted to do with the D, which should happen here soon, I'm still rotating this right now. And I started rotating the other one because I realized they were both off and not centered. So I just rotated those a little bit, and then I went back to the D, started messing around with the curves. I didn't really know what I was doing at first, but I eventually found that I was able to make a sort of little nub on top of the D by grabbing this anchor point right here. So I made this little nub right here, which kind of looked cool. I did the same with the bottom, just not as obvious, just to try to connect it with that stand a little bit more. I did that. Then I basically just started playing around with it. I started trying to get it like the size right. I started trying to make it look like it was actually sitting on the stands. So I started adjusting the curves again. So now it's actually sitting on the stands. And yeah, we're good. We're looking good right now. Things are going great. Things are not going great, but things are going pretty great. So I started adjusting some of the curve settings to try to fatten that D up because we don't want any skinny Ds here. We all want a fat D. I'm sure Daniel Krafft would love a fat D on his lamp. I basically duplicated the same D. Then I just had to change the origin to be in the middle so I could size it down some more. I did that and then started adjusting some of the curve settings to make it thinner because you can't have two fat D's inside of each other. You always have to have a thinner D inside of your fat D. I basically just gave it an emission shader, or I gave that a glass shader. The outside D I gave it a glass shader, because who doesn't like glass Ds? Went back to Daniel Krafft, tried to look for his logo. I tried to do something like that. I didn't want to straight just use his logo. I wanted to do something of my own. But then I gave the inside D an emission shader to make it a nice glowing D, try to give it some power, you know? And then I just changed the materials for these little stands to a blue and purple, because like I said, that's the only colors I could find on his channel. So I made that one a purple. And then looked at it, realized I was an EV, so the emission wouldn't work. Changed, and now we have this. We have the glowing D inside of the fat glass D with the two stands at a good color. So once I did this, I basically just like fattened the stands up, because right now they look like just bare strips of metal that are just there. I changed the D again. I'm trying at this point to make it look like it's actually sitting there, to make it look like it was something. And at this point, I'm completely lost, to be honest with you. I have no idea what I'm doing, so I started duplicating these things. In the end, it kind of looked actually cool, so I kept the design with this. So I basically just like scaled and moved these things so they're kind of like a grand entrance to something. A grand entrance to Daniel Krafft's lamp is what I tried to make here. So I have these, and I decided there's still something missing. I have these. I just changed the material to the middle ones, so that way they wouldn't all be the same color. And I realized something was missing. The render looked pretty not good right now, so I changed the sky color to black. And then basically all I did was add this cube, because I wanted a little stand with like the little plaque that says YouTube channel name and then subscriber counts that all those fancy things have. I realized that the cube, the faces were very bad, so I scaled that middle face up a little bit and it fixed it right up. Kind of like slapping a band-aid on a bug bite. I didn't necessarily need to do it, but I did it anyway. Then I just duplicated the exact same thing that I did, because I have no idea what to do besides that, and put it on the box. But not before deciding to change the inner color of that D to a purple. But before I did that, of course, I forgot to duplicate the actual emission D, the thin D, the small D. I forgot to put that in the fat D. So it wasn't nearly as good as I thought it would be in that little test render. I was severely disappointed. But I eventually put the thin D back in the fat D, as you can see right here. Scaled it down a little bit, try to get it the right size. I went to CC0 Textures and got this wood material to put on the box, to try to make it look nice, like kind of like a little wooden box. Just trying to give it some sparkle, you know. So after I put the wood material on there, I started making the plaque. It's nothing special. It's literally just a gold cube. But yeah, I basically just put this plaque on there, resized it a little bit, try to get the shape right, added a gold material. I just made the material metallic with a low roughness. Try to figure out the color for gold for a little bit, because I kind of forgot that. Because I don't know the actual color of gold, I just know it's gold. But yeah, you can see right here, it doesn't look very good. It looks pretty good in the reflection, but yeah. Next, I just added the text that says Daniel Krafft, which is his YouTube channel name, if you guys don't know. I basically just put that bad boy on the plaque and kind of just sat it right there, gave it a new home like an orphan that's been lost in a trash can. Sat it there, converted it to a mesh sometime. Yeah, there we go. There's the mesh. And then just extruded a little bit so it wouldn't be completely flat and clipping with the plaque. And then once I did that, I basically just added the rest of the text. I'm not going to show that here for the sake of time, because I'm kind of getting tired of talking. But I started setting up the lighting for this. Before that, all I did for the plaque is just put 500,000 subscribers. But yeah, I started setting up the lighting. I didn't really know what to do with the lighting, because I didn't want a white plane. So I started changing it to gray, which looked okay, but it didn't complement the scene at all. You can see the metal is very, very reflective, and there's nothing really there. So I tried to change that a little bit, and it helped quite a bit, actually. The metal was too reflective, so it was like looking at myself in the mirror and seeing my disappointing face every single day, and I didn't really like that. So I fixed it. Then here you can see I'm kind of lost. I'm pretty lost, to be honest with you. I'm lost talking right now, but I'm even more lost making this. So what I decided to do was to add some little things on the like going up and around the D. So I started messing with curves again, which is a great idea. I love messing with curves. D's and curves, they go great together. So I started messing with this thing, and eventually I got it to a point where I liked it. I kind of stretched it out like some sort of serpent from hell, wrapping around this D. And then I basically just duplicated it to the other side. Once I got done with this, I just started messing with it. I eventually got the shape right. I know it doesn't look like I did, but I eventually did. And then after that, I just duplicated it to the other side. I flipped it, and then yeah, it looks kind of good. Right here, I didn't really know what I was doing, because I was just trying to make the curve again from scratch. But then after a quick Google search and a knock on the noggin, I realized how to flip a mesh in Blender. You see here I'm typing it. I looked it up. I found a keyboard shortcut in the first sentence of that result, and then just basically duplicated that bad boy, converted it to a mesh first so it would have geometry so I could actually flip it and go into edit mode. I flipped that one by accident. I didn't mean to do that. I'm just incredibly stupid, if you guys couldn't tell already. But I put it there. It's flipped now, so that's all good. After that, I basically just added some silver material to the sides, and then another blue and purple metallic material in the middle to try to give it a little bit of a border. And then once I did that, I thought the gold looked a lot flatter than it should be. But I realized it was just the angle, and the gold is actually metallic. So that's basically it done. I don't have video footage for it, but I actually did set up an actual decent lighting setup for this. I even created some nighttime renders, like dark renders, like how a lamp, should be used. And that's pretty cool. But thanks guys so much for watching. Daniel Krafft, if you saw this video, congratulations on 500,000 subscribers. That's not very easy to do, but I hope you all had a good time watching this, and thanks guys so much for watching. My name is Michael from Polygon Island, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.